Welcome back to High Flyers in STEM podcast, Greatness Has No Gender, where we celebrate the journey of incredible leaders in STEM. In this episode, we're joined by two talented women from Coca Cola, Adriana Vindas, Senior Director of Operations, and Mary McGrath, Programme Manager in Packaging Sustainability. Mary shares her unconventional career journey from IT into discovering her passion for synthetic chemistry and packaging sustainability. Adriana opens up about leading large teams, staying authentic in a male-dominated industry, and building inclusive environments where everyone's voice matters. Thank you to our sponsors Finero, a multi-award-winning company that specialises in financial success for contractor, freelancers and solopreneurs. It's an honour to host our guests today, Adriana and Mary. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the show. Adriana, I might start with you. Do you mind telling me a little bit about your journey and what has got you to where you are in your position today?
I just got in love with chemistry. When I finished in the university, I went to manufacturing and I started working in quality and production. And I have been working in those areas all my career. And it has been a great experience because I had the opportunity to move around different roles. I started in charge of the control systems in the brewery, and then I started moving from production to different roles in brewing and then corporate roles, and now I am in operations in Coca Cola. So this has been opened me so many opportunities, and having that scientific background, I think that always have been helping me because I really like to understand what is happening. So I always try to go deep to really understand how we make our process, our product, how we manufacture, what is happening, what is the science behind, and then, try to add that with the engineering piece as well. So it's something that I really, really have enjoyed all my life.
Okay, brilliant. So that curiosity on how things are made started really young, got you into, I suppose, a more targeted program that has led you to kind of in operations now today. How about you, Mary? Was it something similar or
no? I tend to just fall into things. I was as a child, small child, and I'll date myself now, but I do remember Carl Sagan, that he used to do the Royal Institute lectures at Christmas. So I was in national school, I'd say, at this stage, and I just thought, oh my God, he spoke about cosmology and the planets, and I thought, this is for me. Always really interested in that, but kind of went a different direction. I took psychology in university and then ended up in IT. It was the 80s or the 90s, I suppose 90s at the stage, and you just fall into things. There wasn't a whole lot going on in Ireland, and I kind of ended up in a role in IT and stayed there for a good few years. But I never really bought into it. It just wasn't for me. So when I had my family, when my kids were young, I took a number of years out. We moved back from Dublin to Mayo, and I took a number of years out, and I said, well, I'll do something to keep myself amused. So I did a BSc with the Open University. Always on, as long as I'm enjoying this or it's interesting, I'll keep doing it. If it becomes a chore or, there was plenty of things I could have done. But like that, I just loved the chemistry. I'd taken physics and biology and maths at school, but I didn't take chemistry. And I just loved it. And I remember being in a week-long synthetic chemistry laboratory in Nottingham University. And that was probably when I first thought, oh my God, you could actually get paid for doing this. This could
something you like.
Be a job. And I would have done it for free if I'd been independently wealthy. I just loved it. I just thought the whole thing was magic. And when, finished the degree and then started working in a laboratory, and that led to a different job, and that led to a different job. But the fact that I was probably late coming to it, because I had spent about 10 years maybe in IT, which I didn't particularly enjoy. I mean, it was very well paid, and it's kind of hard, and it was good fun. I mean, the people I worked with were good fun, but it wasn't, it was never my plan.
Two very different stories, but, you know, it's great that out of nowhere, really, I suppose, that you've got to where you are today.
There's lots of ways to get there, isn't there?
And that's the story, isn't it? Yeah, that really is.
I think a lot of luck as well. I mean, the first job that I got after I got my degree, I was actually just looking for I was going to go on and do a master's and PhD straight away. And I was interviewed by a company in the West, and he was fantastic. He goes, "Oh, you should just do it." He said, "You should actually just do the job for a while." It was like a laboratory analyst. He said, "Because you might not like it. And then, you know, decide afterwards whether you want to, carry on." And I thought I probably would have ended up, you know, in academia, like doing research or whatever. But once I got into the laboratory, I just loved that more. So you don't know. You have to try things, don't you?
Yeah. And that is interesting, because when I was studying, I always thought that I would like to stay in the academia or in the research side. But then the life opened another doors. You know, it was going to manufacturing, and then I got in love with that part. So
exactly. And so much of it as well, I think, there is a bit of luck involved, because the people that you work with, or the people who are your early managers or bosses, and it makes such a difference, you know, on how you feel about that going forward. You know, if you have a good experience, if you're in a good
environment.
The first laboratory I worked in was just, was world class. And that then kind of set me up for thinking, well, that's actually how it should be. But then you hear stories of people, you know, they didn't have a good time, or, you know, it wasn't a good environment for them.
And it's opportunities that open themselves to you, and being brave enough to take them as well, I guess, you know, is really important. And we'll come back to that kind of mentorship and the people that kind of steered you in the right direction, and like that boss of yours, one of your first people that said, "Look, working at first, see, do you like it?" And it was great advice at the time. Turned you in a different direction.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Adriana, you're kind of, I suppose, in a senior leadership role, operations, we know how busy that can be. Would you say that, you know, that fast-paced global environment, what has your leadership journey kind of looked like?
I started the leadership journey in my first job. So immediately I started in a manager role, and I used to manage 25 people at that time. And now I'm serving to 300 people. So it has changed a lot. It has evolved a lot. And the journey hasn't been easy all the time, you know, especially because I started working in an industry that is very male dominated. And at the beginning, you know, I was very young, you know, maybe without that experience, and I needed to learn how to get engaged with the team, and how to get them on board to the ideas and to the changes, and that helped me to be where I am currently, right? All of that experience really, it has been very, very good. But as I mentioned, you know, it has been having a few challenges in the road. And at some point, I had a very good advice. I attended an event that was for women leaders. And one of the facilitators said to us that try to be always authentic, and try to not lead by like a man. Just because you are working in a male-dominated environment doesn't mean that you need to change. Because at the end of the day, we are different. Males, females, but, you know, everyone individually is different. So I always try to follow her advice. And that helped me a lot. If I compare the years before that, you know, versus after, I start feeling more comfortable with being myself, trying to adapt where I was. And as you mentioned, be in a company like Coca Cola that it's a very fast move. It has been an amazing experience, because I have had the opportunity to work with people from so many different cultures, so many different countries, and I really enjoyed that. I love to have conversations with people from other cultures and learn from them, and then try to apply those new learnings as well in the day-to-day. So it has been great. Of course, it's a very dynamic environment, but I really love it. And one of the things that I more enjoy of being a leadership position, it's to help people to grow in their roles, to try to work with them and help them in their development. And I think that is one of the things that always have given me more satisfaction of my different roles.
And I think, isn't that really how leadership has changed in more recent times? It is about that succession planning and looking at your team and how they can progress, finding better than you nearly there, and looking at those people and seeing how you can give them a hand up, because obviously someone along the line has done it for you.
Yeah. And that is the thing, right? It's not managing people, it's really serving to them and helping in their own journey to progress in their careers, and even sometimes to figure out what they want. And I have a few nice examples, that in the past I identified good talents and maybe they were not believing in themselves, and just having a conversation and sitting with them and make together a development plan has changed completely their future, and now they are in different roles, associates, operators that now are managers, or managers that now are senior managers, and that really give me a lot of satisfaction.
That's the joy out of the job, isn't it? Seeing that. Yeah. Mary, you're more in a kind of a program manager role, and you're doing a lot in the packaging sustainability. What has your journey been like in this space? Yeah. Because maybe not as frantic as operations, but
I've always had an interest in packaging. So when I joined Coca Cola, my current boss, the lady who's leading the packaging sustainability program, we would have known each other through quality and, through meeting at different things. She's based in Atlanta, and she knew that I was interested in packaging. So when I was in a role last year, I was kind of co-opted onto the team from a sort of a quality and formulations point of view, like from the chemistry side of things. And because I'm always interested in packaging, I was happy to do that. But then we kind of got to a stage earlier in the year where I said I can't do both jobs. So I was managing the lab and I was helping out in the packaging. So I moved full-time to the packaging sustainability role. So what we're doing is there is a regulation called Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation, which came into effect in February of this year. And we have 5 years to make some significant changes within the plant. And, the choices that we make will have a real impact for the next 20 plus years on how we fill and pack all of everything Adriana's producing down there. So yeah, it's new and it's exciting, but there is kind of a bit of pressure as well. Like you do feel, there's a significant capital investment, that type of thing. So what's very positive about it, though, is that as a company, Coca Cola this is a huge part of the ethos in Coca Cola. Like you'll see in Ballina, that a lot of the focus to date has been on carbon, energy, water. So you think we have plenty of water. We still have to make sure that we conserve the water that we have. So the packaging, in one sense, it's part of what we would have been doing anyway. Mm-hmm. Some of it is not new to us. And in actual fact, our own targets would have been higher than what the EU has brought in. But that said, we're kind of competing against energy, but we need to provide the packaging that meets the regulation. But at the same time, I need to conserve the energy that, the gains we've already made. So there's a lot at play in there, but the support is second to none. It's been fantastic. And for me, it's an interesting way to return to project management, which I had done before as well. There's fantastic autonomy. So I do get to kind of go back to my roots and, I can spend a portion of my week doing research, that type of thing, because a lot of what we're looking at doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So if you Google or go on ChatGPT or whatever, there's endless amounts of, endless institutes saying, we have produced this packaging and it's fully biodegradable. None of it is commercially available. So that will be kind of a challenge for us in the next couple of years, is to meet new people and, make new contacts and onboard new vendors, because what we're looking at doesn't it's there, but it's not commercially available.
How did you find your voice as a leader? Was that something you found difficult, or did you feel that it was natural for you? Because you mentioned you thought you'd stay in academia and research, and now managing 300 people is quite different to that. How do you think you found your voice as a leader?
I mean, I always have been trying to be genuine and very transparent. And I think that being, again, in a leadership position, it hasn't been different, And I think that is the way that I always try to connect with the people as well. So, of course, there has been moments that maybe, in a meeting, perhaps, especially in early stages in my career, that you were kind of afraid to say something, or to give an opinion. But I think that gradually with time, I started losing that fear and started getting a voice in the different topics. And I always try to create an inclusive environment for everyone where the people can really speak up. As Mary was saying, even just say, I could be interested in a project, or I would like to do this, or, or in a discussion at work of a problem, what you think that is the root cause. So I always try to do that. And I think that is the characteristic of my leader voice. It's open the space for everyone to say something. And again, try to be authentic. Never, I don't like hidden agendas or the politics that sometimes happen at work. I don't enjoy that, and I try to really avoid to have that in my team or in the spaces that I am.
I think the sooner we learn to become authentic to ourselves, the better for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's key probably to becoming a leader, is true to yourself.
Yes.
So people buy into that more.
Exactly. And then people can start trusting on you, right? Because you're transparent. And I think that trust at work, it's so important. That can help so much a team, to succeed when you create an environment that everyone feels comfortable, everyone feels safe, that you can trust in your colleague, in your leader. That is...
And that's your own value.
There is an appreciation now that it is a very different job, because most people, as you particularly in the multinationals, as you're moving up through the ranks and you go from, manager to senior manager to director, there is an appreciation now that, and I think it comes from that book, what got you here won't get you there. It's a very different job. You probably got promoted into that position because you were very good at doing the job in your department. But now it's a completely different skill set, and that you have to be able to maybe watch people not doing the job the way you would do it or the way you would like it done, but you kind of have a broader spread now. You've different things to worry about. So that would have been advice that I was given. I think we were given that book actually, in my previous role when you became a manager. And there was a slight twist in it then for women, because a lot of the habits maybe of male managers would be different from women managers. And we had a talk at Women in STEM and Coca Cola from a lady who kind of wrote the other book, which was How Women Rise. And like a lot of the challenges for women are different, as in, taking credit for things and, which we don't tend to do maybe as much. Yeah. But I think the same principle applies really, that the people who are doing the work are the people who are expert in the work, and you have to take on board their approach to it.
I love what you said, Mary, about you might be in this position now and you're promoted to the next one because you're so good at this one, but your next position is different and you've got to learn again. But you both alluded back to listening to the product builders, the people on the floor, the experts that are there 25 years, because they will guide you in the right direction if you're prepared to listen and learn.
Yeah. You mentioned it earlier on about the succession planning. That was some other advice I was giving. The minute you arrive, who is going to replace you? That's the thing that you have to think about straight away. And that has, you can get caught out really badly if you don't put the effort into that, to make sure that, because you might just say somebody is really good at the job and they have no interest whatsoever, in managing people, and they want to remain in a technical role. So that's something else I think you have to throw the net wide as well, to see who might be interested in. We've had sort of internal job fairs and that type of thing, and I think that does work well. But speak up if you have an interest in something. Speak up.
And you spoke about having the conversations with people that might change their mind, might show them that there is a different path that they're able to take, but being able to identify that in people is a real skill, isn't it?
Growth in a role not always is just be a manager. You can move horizontal to another department and
look at Mary.
Get a lot of experience, new skills, change what you do in the day-to-day, and that is already helping this person to grow. So development not is just thinking in what is my next step up.
Lateral moves can be even more important sometimes for that skill development. In kind of the high pressure projects that we spoke about, where you are in the journey and the frustrations around that as well, have you ever had to make a call that you knew would be unpopular, or how did you bring your team on a journey with something like that, Mary?
Yeah, well, daily it's going to suit one group better, another department then will be taking the hit. But I suppose when we had recently, and lots of companies go through this, where you have a change in your software platform or your enterprise software, and it is painful. And I suppose the salesmanship that goes along with these things is that your life will be somehow improved. There will be a period of pain, and then your life will be somehow improved. And that doesn't always happen, to be honest. Somebody's life may be improved and yours may not. So we do kind of have those types of situations from time to time. And we would definitely have had it when I was in the role of the lab manager. I think the key to it really is just being transparent, not denying people's reality, and trying to convince them that it will be better if you just stick with it. I found that we were not better off in a certain situation, and it was just really important that myself and the managers made clear that that is what it is, and we do feel the pain, and we now need to go back to the drawing board and look at how we're going to resource this to get it across the line, because initially you will be slower than you were, and it's very difficult when you're trying to explain that or communicate that to people whose attitudes day to day is, how can I shave 30 seconds off this? How can I make this more efficient? How can we reduce the amount of reagents that we're using? They're very environmentally focused people in the laboratory in Ballina. And it is hard when you go back and you say, we're now actually adding back in extra work for a period, and then we'll be able to take it back out again when we have the risk assessments done. But I think the key to it was just being honest about it, that, I'm not going to sell you something that isn't true. And I think there may have been biscuits involved as well. I think there was workshops and, just chocolate will always smooth over things. Just be honest, just be open about it. You don't have all the answers. I think people do think that if you're not completely transparent, there's something that that you're not sharing, and if you can just be honest about it and put your hand up as well and say that I didn't see this coming, but
here we are.
Yeah,
I think that's really true. I think that transparency, and you spoke about genuine, authentic, and not everything is going to go to plan, as you say, but same, we're in the journey together. Let's figure it out.
I believe that also when you need to give a message that it's difficult for the team, always explain the why we're doing it. And it could be that maybe it's not going to be better, as Mary's saying, but always there is a why. And if we are able as a leaders to really explain the why clearly to the team, that definitely helps. And the other part, it's also try to make them involved in the decision making. Sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes the decision has been made, even outside of the walls.
Yeah.
And we need to stick to that. But when you have the opportunity as a leader to get them involved, that always help. And be part of the making process, help, because normally the team has better ideas, and maybe the outcome is going to be much better when they are part of what is going to happen.
So you're both such accomplished leaders now, come across so authentic, but was there a decision that you made maybe early in your career as a leader that you would never repeat now?
Yeah, early in my career, I think that one of the, I would say, normal mistakes for many leaders, I struggled at the beginning to delegate. And I don't know why, I thought that I needed to deliver everything for the team. And so early in my career, I was trying to cover everything. And I was not realizing at that time that was stopping my team to grow. I don't know, at some point, I stopped. I realized that in the company that I was working at that time, many leadership training courses helped me to really realize that I need to delegate. And when I'm delegating, it's not that I'm not doing my job. I do my job differently, right? And especially when you are growing in the roles, you have less time to cover the things deeply. So it's more important to be good delegating to the team, developing them, and that makes much more efficient everything. So if I could go back, 15 years in my career, 16 years in my career, I definitely would say go and delegate immediately. Try to help your team to grow rather than that try to cover everything.
I think that's so true. I think it's something that everyone does. It's nearly afraid to lose control in the beginning, but it has to be done to grow and for your team to grow, as you say.
I was thinking about this, and if I look back to how I would have handled things, I suppose, 10 plus years ago, I think one thing that I would have changed is I'm an incredibly optimistic person. I'm very positive. And when we're starting out, on a project or a journey, I want to see, that expression, well, I hope that this will happen and all the rest of it. So I'd be very positive about how we would approach it and who our stakeholders are, and that everybody understands the why, that type of good vibes thing. But my brother, he's a lecturer, and we were talking about this one time, and he said, but you're not considering the people that don't want to help you, so that people have other agendas. So I think I probably would have in the past been a bit naive, maybe, that when we were all at a meeting and Adriana is saying, absolutely, I support you there, Mary, and I will resource that and all the rest of it, that people have their own agendas. And what my brother was saying to me was, you have to also make a list of, the people who are supporting the project. There are people who are neutral, particularly like if there's sort of global rollouts and that type of thing. But also, are there any people in that room or elsewhere who your efforts are conflicting with theirs? And just to be a little bit, think about the things that can go wrong, as well as, hoping that everything goes according to plan and have a plan B. And I just thought, I know in academia, maybe it's more political or something like that, but he was saying that when, he's doing briefs for his students and that, he does always try to think about who would not be supportive of this and maybe have their own agenda, or when people would give negative feedback maybe about how the project was going or why they didn't think it would work, for me not to think, oh, they're just being negative, to think, actually, is there something there? Is there something behind that? And not to be always the glass half full, maybe to be a bit more dig into.
Prepare for the negative sometimes.
Exactly, yeah. So I think that would be, I probably just, and that everybody is as enthusiastic about this as you are, which may not be the case, because people have their own, things to deal with,
because everyone's so different, as you say,
Yeah.
just realising that those different personalities are there, those different agendas are there. And as you said, having a plan B to deal with that when the negativity does come up. Mightn't always, but being able to have an answer for that as well.
Yeah, and I think just being, taking that feedback as well, that if sometimes when people are saying, well, that's not going to work because, and you're thinking, oh, you just don't like change, you know, listen to that as well. Like, don't just listen to the people who are positively supporting your project and your way forward. You know, take on board what other people are saying as well.
Yeah, I think almost they're nearly the most important people in the room, aren't they? Because the people that are going to go on the journey with you, it's they're coming. You know, they're on board. It's these voices that you really have to listen to, and maybe.
Yeah, well, I think as well, like, particularly if you're working with the same team of people, like, for a while, you know the people who are always like, roll up the sleeves, let's get down to it, let's get moving on this. And then there's generally somebody as well who's kind of at the other end of that, and they're like, oh, then maybe they need to think about it a little bit longer, and they might say, well, we tried that before and it didn't work. And that, to, you know, the optimist that I am, I'm like, oh, well, that shouldn't be a problem. But I think if I was to change anything, it would be that, okay, well, tell me a bit more about that. Why do you think, because is it the same circumstances? Why don't you think this would work?
And they're not necessarily a problem. They're just problem solving in their head prior to what could happen.
And some people are naturally more cautious as well.
Cautious, yes.
You know, that, and they need a bit more time maybe to think it through internally. But it's just to try, rather than just saying, oh, well, you're just, you know, we're doing it anyway.
Get on board. Yeah.
Let's just say, exactly. Yeah, let's just say, well, tell me a bit more about that. Why do you think that? Yeah, that would be a change I would have made. When
we talk about kind of life choices and personal changes and jumps, and Mary, you've come through a few of them. Was there a time on your path that, you know, we spoke about the unexpected turns, but it brought you maybe closer to a personal goal, or, you know, the changes that you've, and I think you have, by, you know, just taking up your Bachelor of Science, like, obviously you got a lot more joy from what you're doing now than your previous positions. Yeah,
I think so. I tend to be very much, though, if I'm enjoying it, I'll keep doing it. And I think particularly when you start something new, you sort of start off and it's all new, and that can be exciting. And then you kind of hit the flow part of it where it's all going really well and you're like, oh, this is just wonderful. And you kind of plateau there. But for me, it's always a case of there just comes a day where you just want to do something. You're not quite dialing it in, but the challenge, you've lost the buzz of it. And I think if you're not always just keeping yourself informed and, you know, just listening to yourself as well to see, like, am I done with this? And do I want to change and do something different? Yeah, but generally for me, it kind of comes in every couple of years.
I suppose not all challenges are loud. You know, they're not very obvious to everyone. Have you faced any kind of maybe quiet battles, internal doubts, unspoken pressures that you think might have shaped you?
Yes, I have a good example. And that was in my previous role before I came to Ireland. I was the youngest brewing manager. The company opened a new role, and it was a corporate role. And I applied, but I never thought that, you know, I could be successful because there were more brewing managers with more experience than me. And at the end of the day, the company decided to give me that role. And it was a great experience because I started working with sites from other countries. So I was managing 6 sites from the brewing perspective and the making process perspective. And I started having the experience to work with people from Guatemala, from the United States, and also from Costa Rica in different sites. At the beginning, I started, you know, with a little of cautious because I was saying, you know, maybe I'm not ready. Why me? What I'm going to do? I didn't have the experience to work in those latitudes. But with time, you know, I I could understand why I was selected. And I think that maybe I had the openness to listen the team better. And that helped me to connect with them, with the different sides. And we started giving good results. So it was kind of, quiet battle, because I had so much doubt. But at the end of the day, it was a great, great experience. And that helped me to decide to move to another country. And that is why I'm here in Ireland.
Do you have a phrase or a mantra or a lesson that you come back to when things get tough or uncertain?
I do. They love me at home. That's my mantra. They think I'm great in my house. The dog loves me. The people that I care about think I am great. And that honestly is what I come back to. Now, I'm lucky on the team that I'm on in the daily challenges. We all share the same sense of humour. And, I don't... if I really feel frustrated about something or it's not going our way, whatever, we can talk it out amongst ourselves. But yeah, for me, it's, you kind of alluded to it there, Adriana, when you're talking about balance, like outside of work, that you cannot afford to drop that ball. You cannot afford. And I would do the same as you. I get so wrapped up. There's an adrenaline around what you're doing and you're like, oh, I just discovered this and this is great and we can do that. And the hours go past. And yeah, it's really easy to get caught up in that. But no, I have to make time for that dog. Yeah, that's what I remember. Like the people who will be there for me, regardless of what happens at work, and make sure that I look after them as well and make time for that.
Because they look after you. Yeah. How about you, Adriana?
I don't have like a phrase or mantra, but I always try to be positive to the situations and believe that everything happens for a reason. And maybe at the time I'm not going to understand why, but I know that with time I will realize why the things happen. And I think that always that has been helping me. Try to keep a positive attitude and understand that at the end of the day it's my decision how I face the situation, the challenge. And even if I don't face it, it is a decision at the end of the day. So yeah, I think that has been helping me always.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason.
We'll figure it out in time.
Exactly. That's it.
What advice would you give your younger self now, looking back?
I would say that it is important to enjoy the journey, not rush through the life. Take time to appreciate every step and don't feel that you need to tackle everything at once, So, yeah, I would say that I'll also try to be open to receive help, that we're not alone. But in my early stages, I think that I was very too keen. And sometimes I used to rush more than I should. And maybe at some point I didn't enjoy the journey that much. So, now I try to enjoy the good and the bad. But, I enjoy and everything takes time.
How about you, Mary? Any advice to your younger self?
I definitely enjoyed the journey. People always say, oh, I would tell my younger self, chill out and not be so worried. But I don't think I was. I think I was pretty chill. What I would say is what I say to my kids is get a grip on your personal finances. Figure out, how a pension works. And, I have another younger brother who, when he was about 23, 24 in his first job, some company came in, he's a designer, some company came in and said, oh, sign up here, and I don't know what they were taking, maybe 20, 30 quid a week or something out of his wages. And through the miracle of compound interest,
oh, wow, yes.
He could have retired early if he wanted to. That's just something that for me personally, something that I have an aversion to is that type of thing. And now, as it turns out, my kids are much better at that type of thing. But yeah, you're going to be at this for a while. So get a grip on it. It doesn't take it'll be gone. And, because somebody did say that to me once about pensions or whatever, I think in my last company, and they were like, I don't know, should I? And I'm like, no, do.
Yeah.
You won't miss it.
Yeah.
And, you'll be thankful later on. Yeah. That's my not very romantic, sagely,
but
advice.
very practical and 100% real. Very real. Yeah. Because it goes much faster than we think, doesn't it? It really does. What advice would you give someone about looking to pursue a career in STEM besides come to Coca Cola?
In my case, I would say that this area can open so many doors, right? And as we have been discussing here, look what Mary is doing currently versus what I'm doing, is different. And we studied the same at some point.
Yes.
So it can open so many doors. So there are plenty of opportunities out there. But one of the advices that I always give, and is similar to what Mary mentioned before of his manager, is as soon as you finish your college or university, get some experience.
Yeah.
Before continue studying or before even, make the decision of what kind of path you want. Getting a little of experience can open your eyes and then will help you to open the doors as well. And so many people finish university or college and immediately, continue with master's degrees or PhDs and so on and so forth. And maybe they are studying for 10 years, 15 years, and then they realize that I don't enjoy working on this.
Yeah.
So it's always good to go, explore what is out there. And then if you want to continue studying, preparing yourself, come back.
Yeah.
I think you'd fully agree with that, Mary.
Definitely, and please do it. That's the other thing I would just like to say, particularly in engineering. We need more women engineers. We definitely do. I don't believe that AI is going to save us, and I just think at the moment as well, like the whole old-fashioned notion of, the scientific method, having a hypothesis, testing it, not being in love with the ideas. We just need more of that. We just need people to challenge. There's just so much in the media every day, that it's just not true. It's people's opinions. And I definitely think that we... however you can do it, I think we do need more people taking STEM subjects. We seem to be okay kind of on the chemistry side of things, actually. Almost everybody I know has some either chemistry or biology. But on the engineering side, I still think it is a challenge, which is funny because when I went to college, back in the 90s or whatever, it was very popular, Loads
Science.
of my class became mechanical or chemical engineers. There was a lot of that, and I don't know why. Things kind of come in and out of
Fashion.
I think the other thing as well is there's so many ways to get there that you don't have to. People get very down to the nitty gritty. I want to do this course because it. Do a general, just do a general and see where it takes you. And it generally, it won't be where you expect, that like that. I did not, if you had asked me, I just wouldn't have thought the way I ended up where I ended up, not at all. So you just don't know because it often is the people that you meet as well along the way. You'll meet somebody and you think, I never thought of that. But, that actually sounds really interesting and, sign up for small things along the way. That is my favourite thing about, when you do have people that you are responsible for, I suppose is the best way to put it, is that when people show a side of themselves, I had people in the laboratory who are interested and became data scientists. We're always saying, everybody has to upskill in the analytics and in the data science. And people for whom this comes naturally and they get a buzz out of it. And we do love to see people actually leaving and going to customer service or going to supply chain or doing something, materials management, going to production, doing something completely different. That it shows you that having that basis in science, you're set up for so many things.
Yeah, that is the beauty. I mean, there are so many opportunities out there.
Yeah.
We don't even know about half of them that are coming yet. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, but you have that training of, because you would say a lot of what people do, whether it's masters or PhD or whatever, research work, but you never lose that skill. I mean, that's really what you learn. You learn how to read things and interpret them and question them in a scientific way. And, that comes in useful all day long. So,
yeah, it doesn't matter what role you are, that always is going to help you.
Yeah, I think so. And I think even from a social aspect, that education, that learning, the presenting, it'll stand to you all the time, won't it? Once you get some under your belts and then go for your experience after that. Doors will open, opportunities will arise. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast Greatness Has No Gender. A huge thank you to both our guests from Coca Cola, Adriana Vindas and Mary McGrath, for sharing their insights on leadership, career pivots and the future of sustainability. Thank you once again to our sponsors Finero. And that's the final in our series of High Flyers in STEM, Greatness Has No Gender. Together we can make stories like these heard. Subscribe, share this episode and keep reminding the world that in STEM and beyond, greatness has no gender. Stay tuned for what's next from the team in Hero Recruitment.